Hey guys, Fair880, and welcome to my new series on my YouTube channel, my purchase of my 1981 DeLorean. Now, I hope this really surprises a lot of my viewers out there, and I hope this brings my channel a ton of excitement, as it is bringing to myself. This was kind of out of the blue purchase. It wasn't planned, but I don't know how to explain this the best way I can. I am one of the biggest diehard DeLorean nerds there could possibly be. It has been a dream of mine to own a DeLorean. It goes all the way back to me watching Back to the Future probably 200 or 300 times, maybe 400 times. I was one of those kids my dad was a self-employed contractor or repair guy. So I was around mechanical stuff when I was a kid. Granted, I did go to the toy store, but my favorite store going to the mall was Radio Shack. So when Back to the Future came out back in the 80s, it was unbelievable. That was a fascinating movie. The giant speaker Marty's standing in front of, getting ready to play right before the magnet blows up and takes him out. All that sci-fi stuff was as a kid, it was just fascinating. And then watching a car, probably the 400th, watching the movie, probably the 400th time. I mean, it was just so fascinating how they did the camera work back then with the DeLorean and stuff. I didn't even know what a DeLorean really was. And then as I watched it more and more and became more fascinated with the car in the movie, I was wondering, what does DMC stand for? We didn't have the internet back then. The only research we could do was an encyclopedia or go to the library at our school. And that's when I started researching it. And then I realized, oh, that is a DeLorean. That's why Doc Brown mentions about a DeLorean in the movie. And then I started researching about John DeLorean and how he made his company and how he did all that stuff. So I really, really, really was absolutely I made it. That was my dream car, was a DeLorean. All my friends in middle school and high school, I felt sorry for them because that's all they ever talked about was owning a DeLorean. It got so bad that my first car was a Datsun 200SX. The 82 and 83 Datsun 200SX, I thought looked like a DeLorean. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford one of those cars, so I ended up with a 1980 Datsun 200SX. But again, I thought it was a DeLorean, and that's how it was. So the first time I actually got to drive a DeLorean was when I was about 16 years old. It was down in some neighborhood in Socastee, down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. This poor guy had an 81 or 82 DeLorean for sale, and he knew I couldn't afford the thing, but he was really super cool. He showed me around the car, told me a lot of stuff about the car, and he was really cool about it. And he's like, "Son, would you like to test drive this thing? Drive it around the block?" And I was like, "Yeah, that would be super cool." That was the first time that I realized and found out that a DeLorean is super slow. Very, 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 very slow. And of course, they dubbed the sound in the Back to the Future movie to make it sound like it had a V8. I think it's from a Mustang exhaust or something. But it's still, I was fascinated by it, and I was just blown away. So over the years, I've done, countless researches of DeLorean, and just in awe that one day, hopefully I would have the opportunity to own a DeLorean. So that's where this one comes into play. Doing all the restoration on a Fiero, I was watching a bunch of other restoration videos, and I enjoy that kind of content. And there was this one guy that was doing a restoration on a DeLorean that he had found in a barn, and that was just like, whoa, that is super cool. DeLoreans are, if they've never been restored, if they've never had the electrical system fixed, they are extremely, extremely unreliable. To do a correct restoration from the DeLorean Motor Company or to have the electrical system updated on a DeLorean can cost several thousands and thousands of dollars. This is why it's somewhat difficult when making a decision on purchasing a DeLorean at secondhand. It's used. And to find a DeLorean that has had all this restoration work done, they have skyrocketed in price. Back in '95, when I test drove that DeLorean, that was $25,000. Now, back then, $25,000 was a lot of money. DeLoreans have increased in value. I wouldn't say they've doubled in value, but in some cases now, if you want to find a good running restored DeLorean, you're going to pay $40,000, $50,000. Some people have got lucky and got them into $30,000–$35,000 range, but they're up there. They're very, very expensive still, and they're in climbing, and they're coming back. It's going to be pretty cool how it works out. And then this DeLorean that I'm talking to, the person, the one that I ended up buying, popped up for sale, and it was just like, whoa, this is pretty cool. I've asked a bunch of questions about it, and the guy spent $55,000 doing a restoration to it. So yeah, this is really cool. I passed the point of asking questions about it. We went ahead and agreed and purchased it. And then here shortly, you're going to see the carrier deliver the DeLorean to my house. We have the Fiero over to Buddy's garage. I'm going to keep it parked there for a couple weeks until the Fiero gets sent to paint. But hopefully shortly, in just a few minutes, the truck will be coming down the road, enclosed with the DeLorean safe. Ooh-wee. Sure.
Wow. Now, I'm gonna, because I can't put my head out the window.
Correct. I'll back.
I'm gonna need you to walk me out.
Yep. Well, let's go ahead and get it in the garage. We'll start doing the main video tomorrow. So I promised y'all that the car had a really unique story. And so now I'm gonna go ahead and take the time and tell you about the background of this car, because I think it's super cool. Now, when it first popped up on Facebook, when I first saw the ad for this car, I sent the owner and said, hey, I sent you a private message. And then I had a response from 2 people on Facebook saying, hey, be careful about this car. There's a lot of things about the history that's not being disclosed or stuff like that. And one guy said, oh, by the way, the car's been in a hurricane, just to let you know. So I was like, okay. So I did a lot of research on this car, and the previous owner had spent the past 2 or 3 years trying to sell it, starting at $50,000. Last year he was asking $50,000 for this DeLorean. And so I was kind of watching some of his posts on Facebook, and then the seller had sent me a message back with all these photos and stuff of the car, undercarriage photos of the chassis and everything. And in his ad, when he listed this for sale, he had talked about that it had a major restoration at Delorean Motor Company in Texas. This is extremely important when buying a DeLorean, because this is where stuff gets updated. You don't have the original electrical system and stuff like that. And these restorations can cost thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. When I looked at the receipts that he had sent me for the restoration, he spent roughly $2,500 on a brand new wiring harness before the restoration began, and the main relay upgrade, which is very important to the DeLoreans, which corrects a lot of the electrical issues. Then he spent $53,000 on a complete restoration from Delorean Motor Company in 2012, 2013. And I've seen the invoices. They are unbelievable. Every part was literally replaced, refinished, or rebuilt. A lot of it's it's simply, there's just so much stuff that was done to this car. And along with that $52,000, $53,000, he also paid $3,700, $3,795 for the upgraded sound system, which gives you the Kenwood sound deck and the amplifier and the subwoofer all custom built into the DeLorean. Really, really super cool feature. So I got the seller to reach out to me via phone, and I basically told him, look, I'm really interested in this DeLorean, but I need to know everything about it. And by the way, this is what I've researched from you trying to sell it in the past. And I also had 2 people on Facebook reach out to me and just throw some red flags up. And that's when he basically said, all right, and I'll tell you the story, there's nothing to hide. Dad got the car in 85 or 86. It was basically involved in a DUI accident or something where the undercarriage, the rear undercarriage of the car hit some sort of object or something, took out the oil pan, took out the engine. Dad then got a full crate new engine from Ireland for the DeLorean, and they drove the car ever since. In fact, apparently the seller had even taken it to his prom in 88 or 89. Dad fell in love with the car, was really infatuated with the car. That not many miles were put on it. It was driven maybe once a week sometimes, and it was stored inside a barn when it wasn't being used. When Hurricane Katrina hit, it knocked the barn down. And then the DeLorean was inside. The barn got knocked down on the DeLorean, had a few scrapes and bruises, but nothing structurally was damaged. The municipality or area where they live removed the debris where the barn had fallen down, found the car and took it to a storage field for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or a month or so. Dad was searching for the car and couldn't find it. A month or so later, he finally located the car, and they had already planned on bringing it to Delorean Motor Company in Texas to start the restoration. They didn't have the money yet, so basically, from what I was told, Stephen Wynn from Delorean Motor Company told them to go ahead and bring it down to their facility. They would be glad to store it until they were ready. So about 5 or 6 or 7 years later, in 2012, 2013, is when they finally, the son finally came up with the money to just go ahead and complete the restoration. And again, like I said, the wire hardness was first, along with the main relay, $2,500, and then the main restoration of $52,000, $53,000. I also asked for some prior photos of the DeLorean, pre-restoration photos and stuff, and I got a couple of photos as well. The DeLorean was not in that bad a shape. It just had the average issues with the front and rear fascias and stuff. Needed to be replaced, needed to be refinished. And I mean, that was the key, that was the selling. Now, granted, this car only has 9,800 actual miles on it. It sat garage for many, many years, but it also sat under a garage outside in the southern area of Mississippi, not at the coast, but still close enough with some salt there. There is some surface rust underneath the car, superficial, nothing that's structural damage or anything like that. And I think that may have turned a few people off, but at the same time, again, he was asking $50,000 for the car. The money spent on the restoration is a really, really big deal to me. This is so amazing, and I've seen many DeLoreans in the past. It is so amazing to see the work that was put into this car, the stuff that was refinished, the interior, the leather, the dash, the binnacle, the radio surround, all that stuff was replaced. That's a little better. Nice day out. Next day later, here's the DeLorean. Let's go take a look at it and I'll show you around. Like I said, it's in really, really, really nice shape. Great condition. And again, with all that restoration stuff that's been done to it, I mean, literally everything has been replaced, repaired, or reworked. Can't even say it. So it's got 9,700 miles on it. Documented, correct. It's got the really cool two-tone seats. Take it to the passenger side. It's got the audio upgrade from the Delorean Motor Company. So there's a subwoofer behind this seat. And then I've got a battery shut off on that side as well. Go ahead and pull the lever for the back engine compartment. little bit of a dirty engine, but I'm not going to worry about it. So much easier to work on than the Fiero, that's for sure. So during the restoration, everything was gone through. The entire fuelless system was completely rebuilt. So it's got the stainless steel expansion tank. They replaced every coolant line, every air conditioner line, new compressor. I mean, everything is new. You can see it on the taillights as well. New muffler system. I think the louvers or this engine cover was refinished. New struts on the doors, new headliner. All the entire door components have been completely replaced. The rims were refinished, new tires, new brakes, new calipers. All the components underneath are new. I would pop the trunk, but it's got a car cover and stuff in there. Front fascia was replaced, new headlights, new grille, new spoiler underneath, new windshield wiper, arms, blades, all the weather stripping, new. Seat covers, seats were rebuilt, everything. And it's got the battery cutoff switch below here. The only imperfection with the interior is this little piece here for the glove box door. That's it. Otherwise than that, it's all new. Runs really good too. Drives really good. Plenty of power. And that was the bad thing about the DeLoreans, is if the fuel system and all that stuff wasn't rebuilt, even though they're severely already underpowered just the way they are, any problems with the fuel system, I mean, this car would barely go. And I've seen a couple of them like that in the past. I mean, she sounds really good. So according to the previous owner, we have about a handful of repairs. Number one, the park and brake switch does not engage, and the idiot light on the dashboard, the brake light is on. There's another reason why I think that light's on. Number two, the AC needs to be recharged. Looking at it briefly yesterday, I believe it's a little low, but this is set up with R12 Freon, even from the Fiero, or not from the Fiero, from the Delorean Motor Company. The fuel sending unit needs to be replaced or cleaned. And oh my goodness, there was something else. Oh, the antenna. The antenna mast broke at some point in time and was never repaired or fixed. While test driving this a couple of times, the night before drove absolutely perfect, but I noticed something was weird with the steering and the alignment. And I finally figured out what that was from yesterday. This caliper on the driver's side wheel is stuck. It is stuck really bad. Well, I did lose brakes yesterday. Basically, it got so hot it boiled the brake fluid and stuff in this caliper. We're going to take care of that. That's going to be the first repair, and I believe this is going to have something to do with the brake light on, because there is a setting unit inside the master cylinder that lets you know if you're low on brake fluid or not. So let's go ahead and get this car jacked up, get this wheel off, and see if we can't free up this caliper on the driver's side. That's what I figured to find, is signs of a seized up caliper, and that's it, folks. That's exactly what you'll see right there. Let's dig into this a little bit further, see what we can figure out. Yeah, she's pretty tight. Oh, stuff. Okay. Okay. I would call that low. Yeah. Yeah. I would call that low. I would call that low enough to cause a brake warning light. Absolutely. Let's get some fluid in this thing just to be safe before we go any further with this caliper. All right, top 4. My goodness gracious. Yeah.
Back in the Tahoe, he didn't have seats in.
Well, that ain't good. Okay. Got it. Okay. Wow. With a friend's help off camera, I bolted the caliper back up to the hub assembly on the Delorean and through. I mean, this took a lot to get this piston out. This one was jammed. This one in the beginning was jammed, but you can see all the rust and stuff. But now this one's free. This one should be free. So now I'm going to use some pressure from the air compressor here in a minute to see if I can't get either one of these out more. And then we'll clean them up, put it back together, and we should be good to go. Whew. That was quick. The O-ring right there. We should be pretty close to where it's at with everything. Ah, starters! Woo. I would normally be working over a sink right now, but we don't have a sink, so we just have to help. Okay, please. There. That's it. It's this place. Here. Here. I'll help. Just let that go. There we go. Cool. All right. these brake pads have definitely overheated. And so what I've done in the past is used a die grinder, one of the gasket cleaner wheels. That'll take your glazing off. There we go. Oh, there we go. Cool. All right, cool. What do you think? Think it's gonna work? All right, let's see if I can't bleed some of this by hand. All right, press it down really slowly.
What happened to John helping you?
Yeah, we go. Faster than that. More, more, more. All right, hold it right there. All right, pump it a little bit.
Does this seat come up?
Yeah, it can. At least it's not frozen. All right, let up.
This is a 20-minute fix.
Using his service. Well, I needed somebody to help me, so.
Did you pump in the brake or you having to get dirty work?
No, I was having to pump the brake. Got it. Oh, good. All right. Well, we got brakes. Yeah, it's raining, but let's go for a ride. That's John. That's the one who helped me earlier with the car. Well, it stops. That's good. Nice speedometer. Alright, let's go ahead and take this thing home because of the rain and figure out why my speedometer is not working. The speedometer gear, the cable was just out just a little bit because it wasn't in the little groove or the little clip by the spindle. Put that back in, spun the wheels, speedometer works. So off camera, that's fixed. At least we got this Caliper on free, thank goodness. Brakes work great. We need to get some brake fluid now, top off the master cylinder and confirm that it will get that brake light off. And then it's pouring down rain, so there's no driving today anymore at least. Need to go to the DMV tax place, get all that stuff taken care of so I can get a tag on the back of this car. And then we'll continue to the further repairs that need to be done. That's bugging me. Let's fix this real quick. Ooh, figured it was broken. So I just used a little bit of CA glue and just tacked it right there. Use some accelerator. Well, I guess that's what you call it. And then we'll put that back on and that should be fixed for right now. Ran out of fluid when topping stuff off because I had used the hydraulics to separate or to get the pistons out of the calipers. So I was never able to test this theory correctly about the brake light that's on the instrument cluster, which I believe is because this master cylinder was just low on fluid. So we're going to test that theory now. I believe we're good to go on that. That should do it right there. All right, and that was the reason why the brake light came on. It's because the reservoir was needing to be topped off. So that works. Cool. So the issue with the antenna, I've got the antenna right here, and what has happened is this piece right here, the thread part, was inside the assembly on the fender. I called Delorean Motor Company in Texas today, and they said this is just a basic generic unit that they stick on the new restoration units when they do a replacement. So let me show you on the antenna itself. On the actual antenna itself, this went here. Now I'm going to look at this a little bit further and just make sure that this is not a threaded piece into this assembly. That would make a huge difference if that was. So what I did was I drilled out a smaller hole inside the actual antenna itself. Then I drilled it out larger with the diameter of the threads of the original bolt, which is right here, or the original thread sticking out. I found an Allen head screw that has similar threads, well, actually exact threads. So I don't have a tap and die set here. I wish I did. But I'm going to try to thread this in to the existing antenna mass. And if I can, I'll just hacksaw the head of this bolt off. And in a perfect world, this may or may not fix this. Now, the only problem that I'm running into now is I cannot find the correct Allen head for this screw. So I am jerry-rigging this thing all the way. I don't know if this is going to work or not. No. Yeah, no, that didn't work. Broke that sucker right off. Oh well. All right, got my tags, taxes and all that. Registration all done. Took a little bit longer than I expected. It's still raining. Let's go home and get this tag on the DeLorean, and then we'll continue this video. I've gone with this back and forth, back and forth. This works, but this hole's a little bit larger than what it should be. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got some steel stick, JB Weld steel stick. We've used this on the Fiero before. I don't like really using this stuff, but in this circumstance, I think it will work out better. This stuff's some pretty good stuff. And so wait on there real quick. I think that's a better chance at it working than any other thing. So let's let that dry and see what happens. That seemed to do the trick. A lot better than those clips. Cool. She's in place. Let's go and stick it back on the car. There we go. Cool. That works. What a difference, man. That Caliper, there's no doubt that Caliper was seized. And when I drove it the other night, something didn't feel right. It drives like a completely different car. Really, really happy about that. I'm really excited about this car. This car, even though it doesn't need major repairs, just a few things need to be taken care of. The only thing now we got to work on is the antenna, which is simple, and the AC and the fuel setting unit. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody on this channel. And I know I've told y'all about the Patreon account. If you wish to support this channel financially, the information below for the Patreon account is listed in the Show Me More section below at the video. I can't, without the channel, I would not have been able to convince the wife to even remotely consider Delorean as an investment. So hopefully we'll have some more content. I know we'll have about 3 or 4 more videos of the Delorean coming up soon. We also got to finish the Fiero, and I did get the interior parts in. I can't thank y'all enough. So again, thank you to all the subscribers and to all the viewers out there. Guys and girls, click subscribe or like or around here, and we will see you soon.